Picture this. A world leader, just moments before sitting down for a high-stakes meeting with China's top official, casually announces on social media that the U.S. is gearing up to restart nuclear weapons testing after a 33-year hiatus. It's the kind of bombshell that could rattle global stability. And it did. But here's where it gets controversial. Was this a bold move to show strength, or a reckless gamble that might backfire spectacularly? Stick around, because the details reveal a lot about modern geopolitics and the unpredictable nature of international diplomacy. The scene unfolded dramatically when Chinese President Xi Jinping kicked off their summit this week with a nod to the twists and turns in his rapport with Donald Trump, referencing a CNN report on Trump's track record. Little did Xi suspect that mere minutes before talks began, Trump would throw in an even bigger curveball. As he tweeted from Marine One en route to the airport in South Korea, Trump directed the Pentagon to kick off nuclear testing again, pointing to the capabilities of other nations like China. That process will begin immediately, he declared on his platform. This directive blindsided even some of Trump's closest advisors, according to insiders, sparking immediate questions about its feasibility. For beginners wondering what nuclear testing entails, it's basically the process of detonating or simulating nuclear explosions to verify that weapons work correctly. Historically, this responsibility falls under the Department of Energy, not the Department of Defense. Experts emphasize that today's technology allows for accurate assessments through advanced computer simulations, avoiding the need to actually blow up warheads underwater or in places like Nevada's desert test sites. But here's the part most people miss. Why announce it at all if simulations suffice? Just hours later, there was no sign of the Pentagon rushing into action. During a Capitol Hill hearing, the top military nominee for overseeing America's nuclear arsenal downplayed the announcement, saying he wasn't reading anything into Trump's post. This suggested the idea hadn't been widely discussed beforehand, which is surprising given the nominee's role. It highlighted Trump's unconventional style in foreign policy, especially 9 months into his second term. Even as he prepared for a summit meant to stabilize the U.S.-China relationship, arguably the world's most critical bilateral tie, Trump chose to pivot sharply, underscoring his penchant for unexpected shifts. When pressed for details, administration officials kept it vague. Vice President J.D. Vance brushed it off by saying, "I think the president's truth speaks for itself." He pointed out that the U.S. has a massive arsenal, rivaling those of Russia and China, and that testing ensures everything functions properly. To be clear, we know that it does work properly, Vance added, but you've got to keep on top of it over time, and the president just wants to make sure that we do that. It's a straightforward explanation, but it raises eyebrows. If we already know they work, why the sudden push? Trump's relationship with nuclear weapons has always been complex, dating back to his first term. Born in the nuclear age, he once expressed discomfort with even saying the word, famously calling it the N-word, alongside another controversial term, warning generals, "We can't let people throw around that word." Yet this week's post on Truth Social was far less guarded. He boasted that the U.S. possesses more nuclear weapons than any nation, crediting a full upgrade during his first administration to the tremendous destructive power, though he admitted he hated to do it, but had no choice. Later, aboard Air Force One, heading back to Washington, Trump was coy about specifics, noting that with others testing, it's only fair we do too. He said test sites would be decided later, and insisted it wasn't aimed at China, despite naming them in his original message. It had to do with others, he said vaguely. Sources suggest recent Russian test flights of nuclear-capable missiles and torpedoes might have influenced him, though those didn't involve actual detonations. and are systems the U.S. long ago deemed unnecessary. Neither China nor Russia has conducted an explosive nuclear test in decades, with China's last one in 1996, even as they've rapidly expanded their arsenals. This Chinese buildup has worried U.S. officials, adding tension to an already strained relationship. Xi even oversaw a grand display of nuclear missiles recently. As Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Elbridge Colby put it during his confirmation hearing, Russia has nearly completed their modernization of all of their nuclear forces, and China is modernizing, and they are growing their arsenal at a breathtaking speed. And this is the part most people miss: how Trump's announcement could complicate U.S. modernization efforts, which were set under the previous administration to counter China's rise. Conducting a test might divert resources and slow progress, former officials warn. Even more intriguingly, the nominee for Strategic Command, Vice Admiral Richard Carell, testified that he wouldn't assume Trump's words meant actual explosive testing. "I wouldn't presume," he said, noting neither China nor Russia has done so recently. If approved, he'd command over 41,000 personnel handling nukes on subs, missiles, and bombers. His lack of prior knowledge about this is puzzling, given his deputy role since 2022. But here's where it gets controversial. Experts argue this move could actually help China more than the U.S. The mere suggestion that the U.S. may resume nuclear testing could give the green light to China to resume explosive testing, and the Chinese would benefit comparatively more than anyone else if testing resumed. A former senior official explained, "There is no technical reason for the U.S. to do this now, but for China, it could technically advance their capabilities." That's a bold claim. Is Trump unwittingly handing an advantage to his rivals? Trump's history with nukes blends fascination and bravado. In August, he ordered 2 nuclear submarines near Russia in response to comments by Dmitry Medvedev, though it wasn't clear if they carried weapons or just used nuclear power. During his first term, he famously taunted North Korea's Kim Jong-un about their nuclear buttons, bragging his was bigger and functional. Despite 3 summits, he couldn't persuade Kim to ditch his nukes. Now, Trump seems eager to start testing soon. But how soon? It depends on his stance on international norms. As John Wolfstow, a former arms control expert, points out, an urgent test could breach treaties banning atmospheric detonations, possibly in weeks or months. The U.S. has a site near Nevada, used in the 1990s, but it's not ready for testing anytime soon. Preparing a scientifically useful test takes years, and states like Nevada might legally challenge it. So we're likely years from explosive testing. This whole episode sparks heated debate. Is Trump's nuclear posturing a smart deterrent or a dangerous escalation that could undermine global stability? Does it really strengthen America's hand, or does it play into adversaries' hands? What do you think? Should the U.S. resume testing or stick to simulations? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear if you agree with the administration's approach or see it as a risky overreach.